In a bustling restaurant on a typical evening, an unexpected encounter unfolded that left everyone stunned. A black man stepped through the doors, ready for a meal after a long day. Instead of a warm welcome, he was met with hostility from the manager. Insisting he leave without reason, the manager ignored his politeness and dignity. What he didn't realize, this wasn't just any customer. This was the director of the company responsible for supplying the restaurant's equipment, the very tools they depended on every single day. The room grew tense as whispers began to spread, and the man quietly revealed his position with calm authority. But would this revelation be enough to shatter the prejudices at play? The story that follows unveils not just the fallout for the restaurant, but also powerful lessons about respect, assumptions, and second chances. Stay tuned to find out what happens next. The manager's sharp tone had caught the attention of nearby diners, and a heavy silence hung in the air as the man calmly explained who he was. But the manager barely seemed to care. To him, it was simple. He had made up his mind. Ignoring the man's calm demeanor and the stunned looks from staff, he insisted the customer leave immediately, his voice growing louder with each word. Unbeknownst to the manager, the man had spent years working behind the scenes with restaurants just like this one. His company supplied everything from ovens to refrigeration, playing a crucial role in ensuring their success. He knew the industry inside out, yet here he stood, treated as though he didn't belong. The staff exchanged uneasy glances, some silently questioning their boss. What had they just witnessed? And how could something so casual reveal so much about the values within their workplace? As the man stood there, unwavering in his calmness, a few servers began whispering among themselves. One of them, a newer employee, stepped forward hesitantly. She recognized the man from a recent training session held by the equipment supplier. Her eyes darted between him and the manager, torn between speaking up and staying silent to avoid trouble. Meanwhile, some diners exchanged uneasy glances, their meals forgotten as tension thickened in the room. A regular customer, sitting nearby, finally broke the silence, asking the manager why the man was being turned away. The question was ignored, but it lingered, echoing through the restaurant as more people waited for an explanation. The man's patience spoke volumes, his composure unnerving even those who had initially sided with the manager. Outside, staff from the kitchen peeked out, curious about the commotion. No one could anticipate how this moment would ripple beyond the restaurant's walls. The manager's frustration grew, his face reddening as he doubled down, insisting the man leave immediately. "You're disrupting our business," he snapped, his voice sharp and commanding. A wave of discomfort washed over the room, yet no one moved. All eyes remained fixed on the scene, the tension now suffocating. The man remained calm, his steady voice cutting through the growing chaos. "I think you'll regret this decision," he said simply, his words loaded with meaning. That quiet confidence unsettled the manager, but instead of backing down, he dug in further. "Regret? Not likely," he muttered dismissively. Behind the scenes, whispers among the staff were growing louder. Some knew the man's reputation, and the realization of what was unfolding hit them like a storm. A staff member frantically attempted to get the manager's attention, their concern evident. But he wouldn't listen, his pride standing in the way. Unbeknownst to him, the fallout of this decision had already begun. Just as the tension seemed like it couldn't escalate further, the restaurant door opened, and another man walked in, dressed sharply with a clipboard in hand. His presence was commanding, and his eyes quickly scanned the room, settling on the ongoing confrontation. Whispers spread as some recognized him as a high-ranking executive from the Supplier company. He walked up to the manager, who was now visibly flustered. "What's going on here?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. The manager, caught off guard, stammered a response, attempting to downplay the incident as a misunderstanding. But the executive wasn't convinced. Turning toward the man who had been asked to leave, he extended a hand. "Good to see you again, sir," he said, his tone respectful and professional. The connection between the two became clear to everyone in the room. The staff exchanged wide-eyed glances, and the manager's arrogance started to crack under the weight of his mistake. The restaurant fell into a stunned silence as the executive addressed the manager. "Do you realize who this man is?" he asked, his voice cutting through the awkward tension. The manager fumbled for words, his earlier bravado replaced by discomfort. "He's the director of our company. Without him, you wouldn't have half the equipment keeping this place running." The weight of the revelation hit like a thunderclap. Gasps spread through the staff and diners, and the manager's face drained of color. He stumbled to apologize, but it was too late. The director finally spoke, his calm composure still intact. "Apologies now don't erase actions. How a person is treated when they're assumed to have no power says everything about your values." Before anyone could respond, the director added, "Effective immediately, we're reviewing our contract with this establishment." Gasps turned into murmurs, and the manager's career unraveled in an instant. Then, in a final twist, the director walked out, not in anger, but with dignity, leaving the restaurant to grapple with the fallout of one misguided decision. As the director exited the restaurant, a quiet hush fell over the room. The diners, once passive observers, couldn't hide their reactions, some shaking their heads, others exchanging disapproving whispers. The staff stood frozen, unsure of how to process what had just unfolded. The executive turned to the remaining employees and gave a small nod, acknowledging their efforts to step in, even if they hadn't succeeded in stopping the manager. It was a subtle but powerful reminder that standing for what's right matters, even when it feels too late. In the weeks that followed, the story spread, becoming a cautionary tale for how assumptions and biases could ruin reputations and livelihoods. The restaurant faced declining support, while the director's grace under pressure earned him deeper respect in the industry. The lesson was clear. How you treat others always comes full circle, often in ways you'd never expect.